What's up and welcome. I'm Johnny Andrews, founder of author platform Rocket. And today on Facebook Live, what we're going to cover is what are your next moves? What are you accomplishing? How are you getting it accomplished? And what I'm going to do, as you can see kind of on this shiny little white thing behind me, is this is how I get stuff done. And what you'll notice is when stuff shows up on your board or wherever you put it, it tends to get done. And so that's pretty much everything that we're going to be covering today is like why that's the case, why I do this, and then the methodology behind that so you can start implementing that in your own business and whatnot. So if you've been, had a kind of a rough year, I totally get it. It's cool. When I asked the subscribers, hey, what do you want to know? One of them was, what do we do now? Because I guess there's been a lot of folks who've experienced some sales slumps. That happens, especially around holiday season. I've noticed that with if your business is holistically focused on books and book production, you can have these kind of like ups and downs. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that also. But what's nice is you can turn it around with some basic action because without fail, now I'll tell you this, without fail, every time I replied to the email, I'm like, okay, well, what's your marketing ritual? 100% of the time, it was nothing. So if you're experiencing a sales slump, my best advice to you, do something other than what you're doing. That is literally it. Like examine what's happening and modify your behavior. So let's get into the meat of what I want to talk about today. So what has been really awesome about this is I literally just took a nice rag and just cleaned this entire thing off because every 3 months, what I do is I go through this and I put, okay, these are the projects that we're working on. Here are the new products. Here's the software that's being developed. Here are all of the things that have, shot out of my head that I felt were going to be worth doing. Things that are going to produce good revenue. They're going to be able to produce really excellent outcomes for the folks who use them. And we're going to be able to help people, move their business in another direction. But in order to get this stuff done, you have to be able to see it. You have to be able to see it. I don't know if there's any science behind this whatsoever. All I know is if I don't write it down up here, it probably won't happen. And the other thing is if I go above 5 things, it gets really squirrely because, if you're chasing too many birds, they can kind of get away. So what you want to do is really focus on what's going on. And the biggest question you want to ask, and the reason why that I have this Thrive and Inspire, so that's what T&I means, is Thrive and Inspire, because I've been talking about this for a while, that I'm launching this personal development-based ecosystem currently. So, there's tons and tons of ecosystems that I've been able to build in fiction. And I'm like, it's now time to go back to my roots and get into, the entrepreneurial space again, get back into the personal development space again. And so that's what all of this stuff is. And because of this, the folks that I'm working with on Thrive and Inspire, we have a memory course. It's already done. Over 10,000 students have already taken this thing. And it was so ridiculously killer. Well, this is what we're doing first. And so that's up there. In fact, literally today, after this is all finished, I'm going to get with the team and we're going to start going through all of that stuff, what needs to get done, looking at the landing pages, how are we capturing leads for this, what is the goal with the sales, what are the upsells, what all those things. We're looking at the entire situation. And yes, it's publishing related because we even have a book coming out that's going to be the beginning of that funnel to get people through this entire course. So it's an excellent book, really takes a lot of that stuff into account. Now the second piece is actually the 4.0 version of Perfect Publishing System. So back in 2011, I literally just got my head lit on fire pretty much, and I'm like, we have to stop what's going on. What was happening in the self-publishing, what's called the entrepreneurial marketing space of self-publishing, was people were creating these courses on how to make money with Kindle, and it was literally just, it was so bad. It was like hooking a sewage line directly into the Amazon ecosystem. And so I created a course based around what I had been doing, which was publishing not as many books, but they were good books. They were books that helped people, that had a purpose, that had an audience. And I launched it, and these things like blew up the charts. They were sometimes the featured books on the Kindle homepage. And so I created a course about how I did that, and it completely changed everything about this. And so the course went so crazy. I want to say somewhere between 3,500 and 5,000 students within just a couple of, which is a very short period of time, just a couple of months, actually ended up taking this class. And it really, really transformed the landscape of how books were published on Amazon, so much so to the point that I had some of the biggest podcasters and media outlets calling me for interviews. I was like, what the heck? So it's cool. If you put out good stuff, it helps a lot of people. A lot of that can come back around and help you. So that is what's coming out next, is that I haven't offered this course since, 2012. Actually maybe 13 or something like that. But it's been completely overhauled, and it'll be launching right after we get rid of the memory. So as you can see, 1 and then 2. And what I love about this board, and I can tell you what you don't see over here, is everything that I cleaned off. It was, very quickly we hit the goals, get the, for the Author Platform Rocket software program, put a certain amount in there, bam, we did it. Same thing with the agency, get a certain number of clients, bam, did it. And that was all on the board, and just all we did this whole year was just methodically go through each one of these things. And so as the next piece, there's a book process. I don't know if you saw this. I was recently wrote 2 books in literally under 48 hours using this framework that I've been developing over time, and it's ridiculously effective. And so we're going to be doing this. We're actually going to release that along with a sort of a done with you service, because it's an interesting thing. It's one of those things like we don't want to hire ghostwriters to do stuff because they're not you. I used to be a huge proponent of ghostwriters, and then I started using a lot of ghostwriters, and I was like, it actually makes a lot more work. This process I developed is completely streamlined. And then we're actually getting into consulting. We've taken on a couple of clients already with this, but there's just literally 30 max over the entire, probably next 24 months, depending on what we're doing. But it's entrepreneur style, looking for business and things like that. And so we're using all of these things as a lead mechanism. So there's a methodology behind all of this, that all of these products and all of these services are going to be leading into these particular things. And then we have a software platform that's about to roll out that's literally going to completely change how authors measure advertising and effect. It's awesome stuff. In fact, it was developed out of violent necessity because Amazon is so not forthcoming with any level of data whatsoever. Like, no, this cannot continue. And so that's going to be, you're probably seeing that around somewhere between February and January when that rolls out. That's going to be excellent stuff. And so really, I just wanted to kind of give you a fast overview of what's coming down the pipe here. That there's a massive pivot that is happening in the business, literally beginning right now. In fact, all of our marketing efforts have shifted away from where we were before. And now what we're doing is we're going more into reaching out to folks who have existing businesses whose message, who have a positive message, that, personal development folks that are really making an impact and things like that, and helping to get folks out there, give them a lot of content, give them a lot of how-to and like training and whatnot, just hurling it at this. So this whole Facebook Live thing that I'm doing is actually part of that whole thing. And I'll be talking about the psychology and the strategy and all those things in a little bit going forward. But this is what's coming down. And I would recommend it, look at your business also, because a lot of the folks who wrote in said, I'm not sure what to do next. Well, write it down. And even if you don't execute perfectly, just execute. And then what you do is you get the data from that. So say, did this put me where I wanted to be? Did this give me the results? And yes or no, and then close or far away. And if it's far away, then maybe try something different. If it's close, small adjustments here and there, maybe a little bit more, figure out what you need to focus on, but do something. And above all else, put it on a board, not on a piece of paper. You want to put it on something, because I have this, the normal place where you see me is actually, just to the left of me, where all of the whiskey bottles hang out, which is super funny. Because if you watch that last video, that's literally just where the standing desk goes. It's an awesome place to work. It's just, I don't sit down ever. So I'm literally always standing the entire time. But this is where I can see it every minute of every day. So I'm always looking at that, and I'm always remembering this is where we are in space and time. And if you don't have that down, your execution might be flawed, or it might be inconsistent, because I'm down here every day doing this. And what this reminds me is that I have to take steps every single day to get to where I want to be, to get this business to where I want to be, so that I can, I listen to a lot of I don't read as much now, but I listen to audiobooks. And one of the things that I'll do is things for team building, things for mentorship, leadership skills, all those different kinds of things. So be working on yourself in that regard too. So even if you're doing fiction, work on that stuff, because as you grow your business, in whatever business it is, you're going to need to build a team around it. And that revolves around your ability to have clarity in your mind. And this is literally, I've never seen anything better. This is the best way to get clear. Where are you in space and time? What are you doing now? Where are you going next? Get it in writing. I mean, my handwriting looks like I would have been a great doctor. Really, it would be awesome. So that's all there is to it. It's a very simple thing that has made all the difference in my business. I am not kidding. Since I started doing this, I've been able to just grow revenue almost month over month. It's been phenomenal. So please do something similar. You don't need a board this big, but make sure that it's not just in a notepad. And here's why. I used to do that. Oh, this is what I need. That's good for like a daily to-do list, but here's what happens. The minute you turn that page, it's gone. Whereas this, I mean, I have to make an effort, to be perfectly honest, to come up here and like get an alcohol swab and wipe it down so it's pretty and it shines like it is now. So there you go. Get your stuff down, get clear, and make some moves. All right, once again, I'm Johnny Andrews. Thank you for tuning in and watching this. I'll be back with another one. And if you have any questions, make sure you either message the page, post them in here, or email us at agency@authorplatformrocket.com. Cool? All right, I'm getting out of here. Go get some lunch. You do the same.